Peace be upon you, dear students. Grade 8 الصف الثامن lesson 6 الدرس السادس reported speech part 2 reporting questions الكلام المنقول الجزء الثاني نقل الأسئلة. So dear students, how we report someone question. In the first part, you learned about reporting statements or positive sentences. Today, you will learn about reporting a question. Pay attention. Today, you will learn about reporting a question. So first of all, I told you earlier, you need to identify whether the sentence is question or statement. And now I am teaching you about reporting questions. So when we report the questions, we change the question into indirect question. Pay attention. Very important note from the very beginning. When we report the questions, we use the question in an indirect way. So what does that mean? It is a normal positive sentence. So in this case, we don't need to invert the helping verb. Again, dear students, we don't invert the helping verbs. For example, can he can, he can, is he is. After that, we change the tense. So is he, we change it into he was. So the first step is to use a normal positive sentence. So it is not a question as usual. It's indirect question. Again, it's indirect question. This is very important note from the very beginning. Now, another note, dear students. Here, you all know that we have two main types of a question. We have more than that, but here at school, you learned about two types of a question. I can say that you learned about basic questions or general questions or yes/no questions. They all the same. The basic question, general question or yes/no question are all the same type. كلياتهم هدول نفس النوع. And we have the other type, which is WH questions. WH questions. So here I need to identify whether it is a general question or WH question. So if it is a general question, in this case we use if. When we report, we use if or whether. Pay attention, dear students. If or whether. So I read the rule for you. You can use the words if or, pay attention, or if or whether for yes or no questions. So first of all, you should remember that if you have a WH word, you use it. You don't use if or whether in this case. But if it is yes/no question, so in this case we don't have WH word. We use if or whether when report this question at the beginning of this question. The other rule that I have just told you about is to invert. We don't invert. So we use the subject, the helping verb after the subject. So let's read these examples. First of all, I'll teach you how to report yes/no questions or general questions or basic questions. So can I help you? Is this a general question or WH question? So in this case, it's a general question. Why? Because the answer will be in this case yes or no. So here you are learning about reporting yes or no questions, as you can see here. Yes or no questions. So can I help you? Here in this case, as I have just told you, we don't have a WH word. So what do we use? Again, we use if or whether. If or whether. So can I help you? He asked. Pay attention. Here we change the verb of reporting the question. He asked. He wanted to know. He wondered. So he asked. He asked, not he said. When we reported statements, we said that he said, he told me, he said. Now he asked, he wanted to know, he wondered. So he asked if. He asked if. Why if? Because I don't have a WH word. So he asked if. Now, as I told you, it's now indirect question. Indirect question. So in this case, we don't invert the helping verb. So instead of can I, we say I can. Can I can. Don't forget the basic rules to make the reported speech. We need to change the subject pronoun. So he, we change I into he. Now the verb is changed into the past, as I told you earlier. So here this would become like, can I help you? He asked if he could help me. Again, can I help you? The first step is to change the subject pronoun. The second step, to change the tense of the verb, and here can would be in the past could. And we use the helping verb, and here it's a modal verb after the subject. And we don't use a question mark. We don't use a question mark. Why? Because it's now indirect question. Now another example in the past simple, yes, no question. Did you feel cold? Did you feel cold? Now this question is yes, no question. Why, dear students? Because we don't have WH word. So the answer will be in this case yes or no. So did you feel cold? She asked. Imagine that a girl is asking me, did you feel cold? And she wants to report this question. What did she ask me? She will refer to someone else what she asked me, and she says in this case, she asked if. She asked if. Is first of all, pay attention to the reporting verb. She asked if. Why if? Because we don't have a WH word. Now change you to I or we. Change you to I or we. In this case, I changed it to we. She asked if we. Now what is the verb tense in the introductory sentence? Pay attention. What is the verb tense in the introductory sentence? It is past simple. It is past simple. Did you feel cold? Past simple. How did you know? Because we used it in past simple. So you remember now the changes of the tenses or the back shift of tenses. So it changed the past simple to past perfect. But what? Past perfect positive. Past perfect positive. We don't invert. Again, dear students, we don't invert because it is indirect question. We use a full stop at the end of the sentence. So she asked if we had felt. So it was past simple. As you can see, I'll highlight the verbs for you. Yes. Okay. Can you see me? Now, do you feel cold? Did you feel cold? She asked if we had felt. It is no longer a question. It's no longer a question. And I use a full stop. So change the past simple question to past perfect positive or indirect question. In this case, we can say. Don't forget to use if because we don't have a WH word. Now another example. Are your hands cold? So here we inverted verb to be present because we are asking a direct question. Now it will be indirect question. So are you? He asked whether. Why whether? We can use if or whether. It doesn't matter. If or whether. Don't worry. If or whether. So he asked whether. Why whether? Because we don't have WH word. He asked whether. My hands. So your hands. Your hands. Don't forget to change the possessive adjective. Your hands, my hands. Your hands, my hands. So, are your hands cold? He asked whether my hands were. Don't forget to change the tense of the sentence. My hands were. Where? Not where my hands. Because it is here indirect question. So, he asked whether my hands were cold. Now, let's report WH questions. In this case, we need information. So the answer is no longer yes or no. And we have a WH word. So question word questions or WH questions. So, where are you going? Where are you going? He asked me, not he said. Pay attention, dear student. He asked, he wanted to know, he wondered. So, where are you going? He asked me where. So, we don't use if or whether in this case. We don't use if or whether in this case. Why? Because we have a WH word. We only report using this word. So, where are you going? He asked me where. He asked me where. Now you change the subject pronoun, and here I change you to I as I told you in the chart in the first part. So, he asked me where I. Now, what is the tense in the introductory question? It is in the present continuous. Where are you going? Where are you going? Present progressive. Present progressive. So it is changed into past progressive but indirect. So we no longer invert the helping verb, and here it will be he asked me where I was going and a full stop instead of the question mark. Now, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say something? He asked me why. So I don't use if or whether. Why didn't you say something? He asked me why. You, I. Now what is the tense here? It is past simple negative. Pay attention. Didn't. Okay. I'll highlight it for you or shade it for you. So why didn't you say? What is the verb tense? It's past simple negative. Past simple negative. And this is changed into past perfect negative but affirmative. We don't invert. We don't invert. He asked me why. I hadn't said. So past simple negative, past perfect negative. Now something, you know, it is changed into anything, because in negative and the question we use anything instead of something. Now, when will they come? When will they come? So here it is not a yes no question, because we have a WH word, when, in red color. So when will they come? He asked when, they. Instead of will they, we say they will. Now we change the subject pronoun, or they, we don't change it. So because we are asking about the third person plural. So when will they come? He asked when they would come. So instead of will, we use would. Instead of will, we use the past form would and a full stop. Now, who has seen Ali? Who has seen Ali? Present perfect. Don't forget to change it to past perfect. Who has seen Ali? He asked me who had seen Ali. Okay? Now another example. How much might it cost? Don't forget, might is not changed. We don't change it. So how much might it? But we only replace. So how much? He asked me how much it might cost. Instead of might it might cost. Now the last one. Where is the station? Where's the station? Where's the station? He asked me where the station is. Where the station is. Now replace or change the tense. So present simple, past simple. So it will be, in this case, she asked me where the station was. Now this will be the form of your question in the final exam, to rewrite the following sentences starting with the words given. And here, first of all, you need to identify whether it is a statement or a question. And here they are, all the examples are questions. So may I, it is a question. Pay attention, a question mark. So may I know what's going on? Mr. Cook demanded. So we can ask with demanded, with asked, with wanted to know, with wondered. So Mr. Cook wanted to know. Mr. Cook wanted to know or asked. What if? Why if? Because it's yes no question. Why if? Because it's yes no question. So Mr. Cook wanted to know if I, the subject pronoun is changed into he. Okay, may, we need the past form, might, and it is indirect question. So we don't say if might he, if he might. No, what? Now pay attention. In some cases you may need to change the verb tense twice, and here is one example. What is going on? What is going on? So here we have a verb in the present continuous. It is changed into the past continuous. Mr. Cook wanted to know if he might know what was going on. Now another example for you, and you will do these sentences. They are questions, and you will report the questions, and they are a homework. You read them. You can read them now. Mrs. Halaby asked me, are you still preparing for tomorrow's test? Mrs. Halaby wondered. And here you are reporting a question. Don't forget that. You are reporting a question. Now the father said to his wife, can you believe that the stranger walked through the wall? The father wondered if. My mother said, do you know the answer to my question? My mother asked me. So they are all questions. You are reporting questions. The scientist asked, what has the researcher presented in the conference? The scientist asked. Peter asked Jane, did Charles clean the garage yesterday? Don't forget to change the time and place references, the time and place expressions. Don't forget to change them. For example, yesterday, the previous day, or the day before. Now, why did the team leader stop the field trip? Asked the manager. The manager asked. This is everything for today, for lesson 6. Now we have finished reporting your questions, and you are ready now to do your homework. don't forget that I'll add a lot of marks when you do your homework. Don't hesitate to contact me or join me on my mobile phone between 6 and 8 p.m. I'll be ready to answer your questions. If I am talking quickly, please you can use a slow speed, because I am speaking quickly because I am very short of time. I have only 10 to 15 minutes, and this is not enough to me to explain these lessons for you. So I am speaking slowly, please forgive me. Thank you very much for watching us. I hope that you are always fine and very well. Thank you again. Thank you from my heart.